God bless you. Deus bendiga. Deus abençoe. Então, pessoal, vocês viram aí o resultado ontem do ex-presidente ser julgado, o final do julgamento dele, né? Que foi culpado, mas como ele também ser colarinho branco e não ter outros registros criminais, eles deixaram ele sair e ele vai ter que se apresentar dia 11 de julho ao juiz para saber de sua sentença, que eu acho que não vai ser nada demais. Primeiramente porque se ele for o homem que fala em Apocalipse 13, a única coisa que vai acontecer isso aí, que o resultado disso aí, ele vem com toda a força, ele vai tomar mais poder, né? E vir com muita vingança para cima de todo mundo, porque primeiramente ele quer vir como um ditador e seus seguidores também aprovam. Isso trouxe muita revolta. Eles dizem que é culpa do Biden, o outro lá, outra besta, né? Então eu vejo que isso tudo está se encaminhando para ser cumprido Apocalipse 13, né? Caso se for realmente ele. Então vocês vejam aí a loucura dos seguidores dele, os que se chamam Christian National, os cristãos nacionais, que são cristãos evangélicos, né? E esse grupo de loucos que estão fazendo disso praticamente de uma seita Trump, ok? Trump, para eles, é um salvador, jamais eles vão aceitar que Trump venha ficar numa prisão, e por isso que eu vejo que o juiz também tem medo disso. E eu creio que a sentença que ele vai dar será coisa mínima, no máximo que for, se for, uma prisãozinha dentro de seu apartamento, né, em New York City, porque o julgamento foi lá. Ele tem casa aqui, tem a mansão aqui em West Palm Beach, mas não vai poder ficar aqui, ele tem que ficar em New York City. Imagina, né? No Trump Tower. Mas, gente, então, eles ameaçam, e eu creio que o juiz não vai dar uma sentença rigorosa de 2 anos ou 4 anos para ele. Seria uma loucura, né? E ele sabe disso porque ele mesmo falou que o Trump, ele violou 10 vezes a ordem do silêncio. Ele tá nem aí, olha. Então, ele violou 10 vezes. E agora também ainda continua nessa ordem de silêncio, mas ele não tá nem aí. E o próprio juiz falou, olha, cara, como se fosse assim, sabe, pedindo a ele com medo, cara, eu não quero te prender, sabe, você foi presidente e você ainda poderá ser o presidente, eu não quero te prender, entendeu? Isso foi 3 semanas atrás. Que dá o nome de gag hora, né? Que é a lei do silêncio, mas o Trump não tá nem aí. Então você vê, eu vejo que eles estão com medo e não vai dar em nada, né? Foram 34 acusações ali, mas ele vai mais uma vez escapar quer dizer, 92 acusações criminais, só essa aí que deu até agora, né? Um julgamento, né, dele, o resultado de culpado, mas como eu disse, não vai dar em nada, porque tudo está indo ao caminho né, de ser cumprido, né? Se cumprir as escrituras. Então, tá tudo indo em posição, né? Tudo se tomando em posição. Os seguidores dele estão em posição, estão prontos, no caso, se vier dar algo de ele não ser eleito, eles vão tomar o país, né? Querem tomar o país com força, e eles estão preparados para isso, estão em posição. Então, tá tudo indo em posição. Eu estou na minha posição, temos que estar em posição, pois estamos neste tempo final. Pedimos a Deus em oração, né? Para que nos ajude a estar em posição, porque vivemos em momentos de emergência urgente, casos urgentes para a nossa vida espiritual, né? Porque se for esse homem, se for ele do Apocalipse 13, estamos em posição, porque o povo eleito não estará aqui quando ele for possuído, né? O demônio, o diabo, né? Possuir o corpo deste homem de Apocalipse 13. Então, gente, estejam em posição. Deus abençoe. Veja como está a situação aí desses seguidores de Trump, que ele vê ele como um salvador. Então, preste atenção nisso, tire a sua conclusão e Deus abençoe vocês. Shalom. Jesus. Jesus is the Lord, my Savior. Só Jesus salva.
Jesus is the Lord. Thank you.
Veja que loucura. Primeiramente, Trump diz que vai deportar 11 milhões de migrantes. E essas pobres mulheres, quando realmente entenderem quem é Trump, elas saíram correndo para abraçar Kim Jong-un.
Supreme Court will probably give him a pass, but for one day, we can look at this, and this is not just Republicans or Democrats. This is about the kingdom of God. They made this man out of a latter-day Jesus Christ. They told me that over there, and I told them he's got the spirit of the Antichrist.
I want to talk to you about the F word. No, not that F word. I'm talking about fascism. Is Donald Trump really a fascist, as some would say? Or is the word authoritarian sufficient? The term fascism is often used loosely, but you can generally identify fascists by their hate of the other, vengeful nationalism, and repression of dissent. To fight these ideas, we need to be aware of what they are and how they fit together. Let's examine the 5 elements that define fascism and what makes it distinct from and more dangerous than authoritarianism. First, the rejection of democracy in favor of a strong man. Authoritarians believe strong leaders are needed to maintain stability, so they empower strongmen, dictators, or absolute monarchs to maintain social order through the use of force. But fascists view strong leaders as the means of discovering what society needs. They regard the leader as the embodiment of society, the voice of the people.
I am your voice. I alone can fix it.
Second, stoking rage against cultural elites. Authoritarian movements cannot succeed without at least some buy-in from establishment elites. While fascist movements often seek to co-opt the establishment, they largely depend on fueling resentment and anger against presumed cultural elites for supposedly displacing regular people. Fascists rile up their followers to seek revenge on the elites.
The out-of-touch media elites, the political elites, but the elites from the elites who led us from one financial and foreign policy disaster to another.
They create mass political parties and demand participation. They encourage violence.
You know what they used to do to guys like that when they were in a place like this? They'd be carried out on a stretcher, folks. Like to punch him in the face, I'll tell you. Knock the crap out of him, would you? And we fight. We fight like hell.
Third, nationalism based on superior race and historic bloodlines. Authoritarians see nationalism as a means of asserting the power of the state. For fascists, the state embodies what is considered a superior group based on race, religion, and historic bloodlines. To fascists, the state is a means of asserting that superiority.
When Mexico sends its people, they're not sending their best. They're not sending you. They're not sending you.
Fascists worry about disloyalty and replacement by groups that don't share the same race or bloodlines.
And I think any Jewish people that vote for a Democrat, I think it shows either a total lack of knowledge or great disloyalty.
Fascists encourage their followers to scapegoat, expel, and sometimes even kill such others. Fourth, extolling brute strength and heroic warriors. The goal of authoritarianism is to gain and maintain state power at any cost. For authoritarians, strength comes in the form of large standing armies that can enforce their rule. They seek power to wield power. Fascists seek state power to achieve their ostensible goal, achieving their vision of society. Fascism accomplishes this by rewarding those who win economically and physically, and denigrating or even exterminating those who lose. Fascism depends on organized bullying, a form of social Darwinism.
Our people are tougher and stronger and meaner and smarter.
For the fascist, war and violence are means of strengthening society by culling the weak and glorifying heroic warriors.
I am your warrior. I am your justice. I am your retribution. I am your retribution.
Fifth and finally, disdain of women and LGBTQ+ people. Authoritarianism imposes hierarchies. It's about order. Fascism's idea of order is organized around a particular hierarchy of male dominance. The fascist heroic warrior is male. Women are relegated to subservient roles. In fascism, anything that challenges the traditional heroic male roles of protector, provider, and controller of the family is considered a threat to the social order. Fascism seeks to eliminate homosexuals, non-binary, transgender, and queer people because they are thought to challenge or weaken the heroic male warrior.
I will ask Congress to pass a bill establishing that the only genders recognized by the United States government are male and female, and they are assigned at birth.
These 5 elements of fascism fit together and reinforce each other. Rejection of democracy in favor of a strong man depends on galvanizing popular rage. Popular rage draws on a nationalism based on a supposed superior race or ethnicity. That superior race or ethnicity is justified by a social Darwinist idea of strength and violence, as exemplified by heroic warriors. Strength, violence, and the heroic warrior are centered on male power. These 5 elements find exact expression in Donald Trump. His uniquely American version of fascism is rooted largely in white Christian nationalism. It is the direction that most of the Republican Party is now heading in. It's not enough to call Trump and those promoting his ideas authoritarians, when what they are really advocating is something far worse: fascism.
Dass ich anständig meine Zeit verwendet habe im Dienste meines Volkes. Gib du jetzt deine Stimme ab. Wenn ja, dann tritt.
Have you ever heard of Godwin's Law? Well, it suggests that if any online argument goes long enough, someone will certainly call the other person Hitler. To which Trump says, thank you.
What happens after Donald Trump wins? What's next for America? The economy booms. American energy is unleashed and an end to crushing taxes. The border is closed and the largest deportation in history is underway. No more wars, as we focus on home. Law and order is restored. The American dream is back, and the best is yet to come. Make America great again.
A new Reich? Really? But are you surprised? I mean, they're saying it out loud. And though Trump took this post down, he left it up long enough for everyone to see what he wants them to see. He is planning a real coup this time. No more civilians running up the Capitol steps. He wants tanks in the street and the military in American cities. And while he waits to hear about his immunity case in the Supreme Court, he's not sweating it because he doesn't need them. He just needs to win in the fall. Trump has been building up to a win in November by promising to deliver a dramatic blow to any and all groups that oppose him, borrowing language from the man who murdered more than 6 million Jews, plus Catholics, gays, and gypsies, and homeless. His code words align perfectly with Hitler's approach in the early 30s.
We got a lot of work to do. You know, when they let, I think the real number is 15, 16 million people into our country, when they do that, we got a lot of work to do. They're poisoning the blood of our country.
In Hitler's manifesto, Mein Kampf, there are several passages in which Hitler used the words poison and blood in conjunction in attacking people that he deemed a threat to the purity of the Aryan race. He was mostly talking about Jews at the time, claiming that, quote, great civilizations of the past died out as a result of contamination of the blood, and linking the, quote, poison which has invaded the national body to an influx of foreign blood.
Trump has held a long fascination with Hitler, and it has quickly crept into his speeches and political philosophy. While president, Trump defended the Nazis in Charlottesville, even after a woman was murdered.
Jews will not replace us! Very fine people on both sides.
Trump, like Hitler, considers non-Anglos to be inferior races who want to take over the world. And Hitler, like Trump, also wanted to rid Germany of the disabled, homosexuals, and other minorities that did not fit into his idea of an Aryan race.
They're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists.
And Trump has the support of leading white supremacists.
How precisely is diversity our strength? White supremacy, that's the problem. This is a hoax.
Send the military into these black neighborhoods, make the streets safe, they'll complain about it. It doesn't matter.
We should send in the troops if necessary to restore order.
Well, not with the Jim Crow stuff. Who cares? Oh, to drink out of a different water fountain. Big deal.
Trump felt betrayed by his first run as president, unable to secure the kind of loyalty he is sure to demand this time. No more Millies, Espers, Kellys, and Tillersons. Instead, he will create an army of loyalists, starting with pardoning the insurrectionists.
We will give them pardons.
Then demanding loyalty from crowds.
Raise your right hand. I do solemnly swear will vote for Donald J. Trump.
We don't take an oath to a tribe. We don't take an oath to a religion. We don't take an oath to a king or a queen or to a tyrant or a dictator. And we don't take an oath to a wannabe dictator.
Then replacing generals with those loyal to him.
I want to be a dictator.
Trump is no longer trying to hide who he is. He's ready to get in power and never leave. His fascination with Hitler promises a sea-level change in American culture.
Retired General John Kelly, who of course served as White House Chief of Staff in the Trump administration, recounted several conversations where Trump spoke favorably about Hitler. From the book, quote, he said, well, but Hitler did some good things, Kelly said of one conversation with Trump. I said, well, what? And he said, well, Hitler rebuilt the economy. But what did he do with that rebuilt economy? He turned it against his own people and against the world. And I said, sir, you can never say anything good about the guy. Nothing, end quote. Trump also admired Nazi officers' loyalty to Hitler, according to Kelly. He would ask about the loyalty issues and about how, when I pointed out to him the German generals as a group were not loyal to him and in fact tried to assassinate him a few times, and he did not know that, Kelly said.
30 years ago, Ivana Trump said that Tiny Fingers kept a book of Hitler quotes right next to his bed for nighttime reading. For the record, when she died, he buried her on a golf course.
Well, let's rewind all the way back to 1990 when Vanity Fair reported that Trump's former wife, the late Ivana Trump, had told her lawyer that Donald Trump occasionally read from a book of Hitler's collected speeches, My New Order, which he supposedly kept in a cabinet by his bed. And a friend of Trump told the magazine on the record that he had given Trump the book, saying he thought Trump would find it interesting.
Over the years, Trump realized the power of the swastika and tried to use it to smear his political enemies.
Trump retweeted this image at 11:20 last night of a Nazi flag, along with photos of rival Jeb Bush's distinguished family lineage, starting with his grandfather, father, and brother.
Again, Trump's use of Nazi references and quotes from Mein Kampf require a longer conversation. I mean, look at him. He's obese, he doesn't exercise, dyes his fake hair orange, spray tans himself, he wears diapers and farts and snores uncontrollably. He swears in his speeches, declares his innocence, while at the same time demanding immunity. But the real worrisome aspect isn't Trump. It's Republicans who refuse to stand up to his racist blather, who might be the first to end up in a camp in Trump's new world, like this guy.
I do want to get your reaction to something that former President Trump said overnight. He was in New Hampshire. He was talking about the need to keep immigrants out of this country. Here's what he said. I'll get your response.
They're poisoning the blood of our country. That's what they've done. They poison mental institutions and prisons all over the world, not just in South America, not just the 3 or 4 countries that we think about, but all over the world. They're coming into our country from Africa, from Asia, all over the world.
The Biden campaign has accused former President Trump of, quote, parroting Adolf Hitler. What is your reaction? Are the president's comments representative of how you? Are you comfortable with him using words like that?
You know, we're talking about language.
But Miss Lindsay isn't alone. CBS reported today that more than 80 officials in swing states whose job it is to collect votes also denied the 2020 election results. Hitler is guarding the chicken coop. Even today, world events parallel the rise of Trump. Hitler rose to prominence at the end of World War I, attacking the influx of minorities and especially Jews. Trump is using the pandemic to enlist a pack of conspiratorial numbnuts like Aaron Rodgers to normalize talk of violent revolution. Trump came close on January the 6th, and like the Third Reich, which was not an official part of the German government, he tried to use his beer-bellied brigade to stop the election. This time, however, if he somehow gains access to the office, he will use the first 30 days to strip power from everyone who does not pledge loyalty, and then insert his version of Eichmann and Goebbels.
America first.
Donald Trump is not Adolf Hitler, not yet, but we are learning that he could be. While the heavily partisan Supreme Court considers offering Trump immunity for his crimes before and on January the 6th, he's not paying attention to that. He wants and needs to be president, because once in power, he will replace the generals with those who will agree with him. And as you saw, Republican senators will not remove him. But if he commands the military, impeachment is moot. The Justice Department will be run by someone like Matt Gaetz.
Sex charges against me.
Homeland Security by Tim Scott. And I have no idea what I'll give Dairy Queen. Well, you get the point, though. The only thing that will stop Trump from being Hitler is a Joe Biden victory, although Marco Rubio and others say they won't recognize the win.
Will you accept the election results of 2024 no matter what happens, Senator?
No, if it's an unfair election, I think it's going to be contested by either side.
Senator, no matter who wins.
I think you're asking the wrong person.
So can a dictator in diapers take over the world? I know, it's not funny. In fact, only one person is smiling.
I am the chosen one.
This isn't their Republican Party anymore.
Damn right.
Am I wrong?
You're in a lot of trouble, Donnie.
Pessoal, estarei trazendo mais informações, por isso eu peço, clica no sininho para ser avisado, se inscreva no canal, deixa um joinha, compartilha o vídeo e não esqueça de deixar um Deus abençoe para este canal, pois estamos vivendo nos tempos finais. Shalom.